Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Danny O'Keefe famously wrote the lyric Highways and Dance Halls, a good song takes you far, and for more than 50 years, he's proved himself right. On his new album, the two-disc set Circular Turns, his first for Sunset Blvd Records, O'Keefe shows off his songwriting prowess with 17 tracks he recorded from 1999 through 2017, plus a live album featuring his classic Goodtime, Charlie's Got the Blues, and other favorites. The studio disc on Circular Turns includes new arrangements of several of O'Keefe's best-known songs, including The Road, Angel Spread Your Wings, and Magdelena, as well as songs inspired by paintings like Runnin from the Devil, Bill Monroe, When You Come Back Down, Photos in Someone's House, We're All Strangers Here, and the classic children's Bear Corduroy, Alone in the Dark. The first single from the new album is Danny's version of Well, 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 a song he co-wrote with Mr. Bob Dylan. Please welcome American singer, songwriter, composer, musician, Danny O'Keefe to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Danny.
Hi, Ray. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. Okay, you ready for this? This is what I said about the new album, all right? Word for word.
All right.
All right, it says, there ain't no musical genre that Danny O'Keefe cannot master. His brand new, brilliant 2-CD collection, Circular Turns, is pure magic and an array of spectacular arrangements. Danny O'Keefe is a national treasure for sure. I gave it 5 stars. How's that?
Thank you so much.
It's awesome, man. It is incredible. You know,
I'll tell my mom to keep sending you that money.
Yeah, I got the check yesterday, by the way.
Okay.
The track, it starts out Angel Spread Your Wings, which is classic and I love, which sounds a lot like Jimmy Buffett. And that was done, I think, by Judy Collins back in 1975. Yeah. It's so great that all your music is done by other artists, and that's a great tribute to you.
I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, as a songwriter, it's a great thing. Also, financially, it's a great thing because, there's so many musicians that don't get paid like songwriters, I mean, they're on the album, they do the cover version, but they didn't write the thing, So it's a big difference to be a songwriter. That's where it's at for sure.
I've always thought so.
Do you consider yourself now in the genre of, they have this yacht rock genre. Would you consider yourself in that category?
I don't know what that means.
Well,
I don't own a yacht. And I have a kayak that I don't use very often, so I think I'm not in that group.
Well, yacht rock is kind of Orleans and Pure Prairie League, Jimmy Buffett. It's that kind of laid back, storyteller type music. And you probably do fit in there, which is a good thing because there's a lot of great combination concerts that feature a lot of those great bands now that tour together, they're always putting bands in different genres and they make up different genres and things, but look it up. It's a really cool thing. It's actually a great compliment.
All right, thank you.
Magdelena, okay. I think Donny Hathaway first released that tune, and then, of course, Leo Sayer, I think, did it in 76, right?
Yeah, Leo did a great version. And Donnie was on my session, which is where he learned the song.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he plays piano on Magdelena on the Breezy Stories album.
And again, that's a great track as well. I got a lot of favorites on this album. Runnin from the Devil, that's one of my favorites as well. Who played slide guitar on that?
I'm not sure. Joel Tapp might have, or it was a friend of mine and I say he's a friend of mine, and I can't tell you his name right away.
Right.
In Nashville, but I think Joel Tapp did, if I remember correctly.
Great slide on that, it really is. And Talk a little bit about Running from the Devil. Where did that inspiration come from?
Well, the cover is a painting by a friend of mine by the name of Terry Terrell. Mm-hmm. He's an outsider artist, and he's my favorite artist, really. I mean, out of all the different people that I know that do that kind of work, and he's a great guy. I've known him forever and ever. He used to sell painted T-shirts in the Pike Place Market, which is where I first saw him, and I bought all the T-shirts I could afford. And they're classics. And then he began doing gallery shows and selling. You can find him online and see his work. He has a lot of really, really creative, beautiful paintings. Turrell, Terry Terrell. Should look him up if you get a chance.
Oh yeah, I'll put his link too on our site for sure. We'll promote him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
The Hereafter, that's a great tune as well. You know what that reminds me of? It's kind of a honky-tonk Dr. John feel.
Well, I wish Dr. John had played on it. It was my friend Joel Tepp plays a wonderful slide, and I wanted it on there just to give people the opportunity to hear his work.
I love the way you are eclectic. Nobody can. I mean, if anybody puts you in a category and say, "Oh, he's a folk rock guy, he's a country guy, or whatever," that's wrong, man. It's like putting the Allman Brothers in a country rock category, which they are not. They're a very eclectic band as well.
They are.
Yeah, exactly. And here's a track that really comes. I got a reggae feeling and a Bob Marley feeling out of "You Don't Have to Be Right." Am I right about that?
I'm sure you're right. I don't know. It wasn't intentional, but you just get in the studio and play, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I don't know. For some reason, I was thinking Bob Marley all the way on that track. Another great tune.
I wish you cut it.
Yeah. Today you should have a lot of your friends play on the next album. Yeah, get a lot of special guests and just, another album that's all written by you, eclectic would be cool. I mean, you got so many friends, it'd be great to have all these special guests on the next one, huh? What do you think?
Well, it's in the ask. I mean, it's a great idea, but, then you're talking a lot more money for production than I have, because you have to pay them for whoever they want to use and in their studios, and it tends to be done long distance, and then you have to put everything together in your studio, and it's not like just sitting there and playing a song.
Right.
A lot more complex than that.
Yeah, but these guys love you. They do it for free, right?
Hey, from your lips to God's ear.
And a lot of artists are doing those, fund me type pages, which are working. They say, well, we're going to put a new album out. We need your help, and they get funded, by the fans, which is really cool. Gets the fans involved and feels like the fans are kind of, like another producer, of the album.
Right. Well, it isn't so much the problem of making the record. It's actually the problem of getting the record out there and heard. It isn't. It's a completely different business, as you know. It isn't really radio anymore that does it. And it's largely word of mouth, I think, as much as anything else. And then you're essentially giving everything away for free to Spotify and all the others. So it's a tighter business than it ever used to be.
Yeah, I'm an author, and same thing happens with me with my books. God, I see them on eBay. I don't know how they get on eBay. And people are selling my books on eBay, and they're even saying that I signed them, which I didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the internet has made it, in a sense, more democratic, but it's also made it, a much more impoverishing vocation than we hoped when we got into it. The creative art is it's really hard to make a living at it.
That's true, but then again, on the other side, you got more freedom, I think, to do whatever you want to do on an album, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always had.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Atlantic and Warner Brothers, I mean, whether it was a great idea on their part or not, but they always gave me free rein to make the records that I wanted to make.
Did you start out on Atlantic, or when were you on Atlantic Records?
I was signed by Ahmet in '69, and I was there until 1980. Actually, I went from Atlantic to Warner Brothers in I think '77, something like that. But I remained in the Warner Music Group until 1980.
I just had Felix Cavalieri on the show yesterday, who was with Atlantic Records as well. They were. Yeah, he said all great things
on Atlantic.
He said all great things about Atlantic. He really liked Atlantic Records, and I didn't know. I didn't know a long time ago it was basically an all black artist record company. And Felix, their band, the Rascals, were one of the first ones, white bands, to actually be signed to that label.
Right. Yeah, no, Ray Charles, and they had a lot of really wonderful black artists. And it was essentially Ahmet that kind of figured out that there was another whole world of, emerging artists. And, they changed the direction of that company in a very powerful, positive way.
Huge record company. They were great. They really were. Going down the list now, I see The First Time, which now you got your country influence in there, and when you come back down, who I think was it Nickel Creek that did that song as well, right? It was kind of a bluegrass thing, and Tim O'Brien.
I wrote with Tim O'Brien, who's a wonderful player.
I'm amazed the different genres you can do so well, so easily. And you just sound. You do a country song, you sound country. You could be a cowboy. It's amazing. It's quite a talent you got there.
Tall hat, no cattle.
What's another favorite of mine? Siamese Friends. Which kind of has a jazzy influence. In that one. Who sings with you on Siamese Friends?
Who sings with me?
There's a girl that sings with you on that one.
Jesus, I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure.
Huh. She just comes in a little bit. She doesn't sing a lot with you, but I do hear her.
I have this amazing device called a computer. I can look these things up, which I will. I think she's just.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to say I love the melody of that track, man. It's a great song, Siamese Friends. Do you remember when you wrote that?
I think that I wrote that with Victor Krause.
Okay.
I'm not positive about that, but I think that's who I wrote it with. I'm trying to.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm gonna.
I'm pretty sure that's a Victor Krause is Alison Krause's brother.
Oh, really?
Huh? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wrote that with him.
You think it was Alison that? No, that she was too young, right? Back then, or
she wasn't too young, but she wouldn't have. I don't think she would have done it.
Huh?
Let's see. Where is it?
Yeah, I had a hard time looking that one up.
Anyway, yeah, I could find it, but I'm hunting around on my site here, and it's not giving me what I want.
You can always email it to me. I was really curious about that. Well, of course, your famous track, Well, 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 which you did with Bob Dylan, Mr. Zimmerman.
Right.
Yeah. What was it like working with Bob Dylan on that?
I have no idea. I didn't work with Bob Dylan on it. He just wrote a kind of a rough demo.
Okay.
That the woman who was running his company, he still has a publishing company, but at one point he decided to see if he could expand it a little more and add a writer or two, and see if it was productive.
Right.
And so I was one of the writers in the company. It was called Special Writer, was the name of the company. And the woman who ran it, Tina Snow, had, I think, a box of tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Although when she pitched it to me, she said that Bob wanted to see if I could write lyrics to this rough demo that he had, which I didn't really understand at the time, but I'm sure Bob had no knowledge that this box of rough demos was being passed around.
Huh.
But he had, he had a couple places where he was getting ready to change, not key, but change the chords. He was letting the rest of the band members know, and he said, well, and I added another well and made it a song about groundwater.
That's funny. That's funny. I like that.
Never heard from Bob, but I hope he appreciated the joke.
Never heard from Bob, huh? That's interesting. I know a lot of people cover that tune. Don Henley, I remember, Maria Moldara and Mavis Staples. I had Maria on the show many times. I love Maria. She's cool.
Yeah, old friend.
Yeah, Bonnie Raitt, Ben Harper. Steve Howe did it with P.P. Arnold, Steve Howe from Yes as well. That's interesting.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I was surprised too. He did it too, I guess, on his on one of his solo albums. Great song.
Well, it turned into a good song. I'm happy that that Tina Snow sent me the rough tape. I think I still have the rough tape someplace. I probably should, encase it in something so that it doesn't get destroyed.
Huh. Steel Guitar, another kind of a country tune. We're All Strangers Here. Did you write that with Michael McDonald?
I did, indeed.
Huh. How did you guys get together?
I used to go to Nashville periodically, over different periods of time, and I'm pretty sure that the woman who was working at the publishing company had somehow gotten in touch with Michael, and he was interested in co-writing with people. So we just sat down someplace. I think somebody's house. I don't even remember whose house it was, and he just started to play on the piano, and I started throwing words at him, and within a couple hours we had that song, which I always wished that he would have done it, but I'm so happy that his wife and companion did it, and did a lovely job on it.
Yep. I think Michael's he's been on the road with the Doobie Brothers again.
Good money.
Yeah. The Road, of course, that's a biggie. Jackson Browne did it, 1977. Another great tune. So how does Jackson Browne pick The Road? Did he hear it one day and say, did he call you up, ask permission? Did he just do it and then send you a check later? How's that work?
No, Jackson was an old friend of mine.
Okay.
I met him when I first came down to Hollywood, and he had, I don't know if he hadn't put any records out. I think he had made one record under David Geffen's auspices, and Geffen was getting ready to create a label, which became Asylum. And we just got together. He was living in a house up in the hills with Ned Doheny, who was another writer. And we hit it off. We were friends. And later, a couple years later, he was going to make an album called The Road and the Sky, because he had a song, Late for the Sky, but he didn't have a song called The Road. So perfect. thank you very much. And it was an interesting, conceptual idea where, some of the tracks would get recorded on the bus or in the hotel rooms, and, some on stage, and, it's I don't think it's necessarily its best album, but it's a great album, and I think it's the one that's probably sold the most out of all of his work.
Yeah. And Jackson's still around, working hard like he always is. He's
yeah, guy's a lion.
Yeah. Did you know Dan Fogelberg by any chance?
I never got the chance to meet him. I'm sorry to say. I think I would have enjoyed his company a lot, and maybe even we could have written something together.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
He was in Colorado, and he was in a kind of difficult place to get to in Colorado, and a couple of my friends were in bands that played for him in bands with him, but it never happened,
I know a lot of guys. I've interviewed a lot of guys that knew him really well, and he had a beautiful spread. They hung out at his place, and we lost him way too early.
Way too early. Yeah.
I was a top 40 DJ back in the late 70s, and I played a lot of Dan Fogelberg on the air. That's when he was really really hot. All those big tunes and everything. Yeah. Sleep Anywhere on Earth You Are. That Alan Jackson did that. Did you know?
He did.
He did.
He left the word "sleep with you" off it, which I kind of thought it would have been a better version if he had left it in its original form. But
right.
I'm glad he did it.
What do you think about that? If somebody takes your music and changes words around, is that something that you got to get permission for, or how does that work?
No, once a song is essentially been released, then you don't have a right of refusal on it. Although I think if I told them that I didn't like it and I didn't want them to do it, they probably would have left it off the record. But
right.
It was a choice that he made. The line "Anywhere on earth you are and sleep, just sleep with you." I don't know, maybe he misunderstood that, or he thought his audience would misunderstand it, but it was his call.
That doesn't happen very often, does it, with your music? That people changing some stuff around, or?
Well, you hope not. They don't have the right to sort of re-edit it, but if there's a line that they don't like, or I don't know, it's just part of their creative process as well. So as long as they don't violate the copyright, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody change Beatle music around. Have you?
Well, I never have, but that's not to say that it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
It just may be on recordings that we never heard.
True. That is true. I heard it played in different keys. I've heard that before. The Beatles actually did. Was it a Tommy Rowe song? I talked to Tommy Rowe, and they played one of his songs in a different key. It was the one he did in the late 50s. I forgot now. But anyway, they did it in a different key, and he noticed it, but I don't think they noticed it. So that was interesting.
Well, the key doesn't matter. The key is where you could play it, where you can sing it.
Right.
But if they change the intent of the song, then that's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here's a tune that you wrote. I'm telling you, man, I almost cried when I heard this song. It's my favorite song, all right? This song is the best song, one of the best songs, I think, that you've ever done, okay? Alone in the Dark.
Oh, yeah. I wrote that with Jay Gruska.
I swear to God, man, I was going to cry. I was almost in tears with this song.
Well, and the story of that was, I don't have his name right now, but he's a well-known director. Married to Helen Mirren. I can't think of his name right now.
Okay.
But anyway, he was going to make a animation. He had never done an animation, and he wanted to make an animation of the children's book Corduroy the Bear.
Right.
And so he hired Jay, or didn't hire us, he just, he gave us the opportunity, Jay Gruska, to see if we could come up with songs. And we loved the idea. We loved the book. It's a very popular children's book for young kids. And we wrote a bunch of songs, and that was one of them. And, it just fell together. I mean, I wish it had been in the children's cartoon, but it was a good song and a salvageable song, to say the least.
It's cinematic. It could be in a movie. Definitely should be in a movie for sure. I just know. I mean, it's got that feel to it. It could be in a Disney movie too. But it's.
Well, I mean, that was the idea. Was that it was the guy looking at the screen.
Right.
So who knows? Maybe somebody will get there with it one of these days.
I hope so, man. It's powerful. That's a powerful track. It really is.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
The voice reminds me a little bit of David Gates. Remember David Gates from Bread?
Sure.
Yeah. I love that song, man. How do you pronounce this next track? Is it Litany? Litany? Litany.
Yeah. Litany is a repeated line.
Who does the keyboards on that? Because keyboards were incredible.
Yeah. It's a friend of mine named Bill Braun.
Okay.
An unknown hermit, but one of my favorite musicians in the world, and I've written a lot of songs with him.
Guy's great.
He's just a very creative guy.
Yeah.
But he never particularly cared. I mean, he loves to play music, but he didn't care about being on the road or any of that.
Right.
And so, I mean, he had a nice place in the Hollywood Hills and a little studio there, and we wrote a lot of songs together. He lives in Hawaii now, so I don't see him very often anymore. But we had a great stretch.
Well, I'm glad we gave a shout out to him because the guy's a great musician, man. He really is.
He is. And one of my favorite friends, a guy with a great sense of humor.
Yeah, you got some great players on all your songs. You really do. I didn't mention Felix Cavalieri. He lives in Nashville now, and that's a great place to be because the players are unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I never knew Felix. I knew Eddie Bugatti pretty well, and his brother David. They were a lot of fun. And I worked with him at Atlantic, but I never got to meet Felix.
He's a nice guy, man. A really, really nice guy. He looks great too. He really does. Here's another track that blew me away. Okay, Last Call. Okay, very swanky, jazz, blues, a very 1940s feel. Wow, where did you come up with this? What was the idea behind this? I mean, that's. Humphrey Bogart days and Sinatra and Nat King Cole days,
It was a piece of music that my friend Fred Knobloch had. He's a Nashville writer. Mm-hmm. And I love the music changes in it because a lot of times not even a lot of times, most of the time when you're in Nashville, you're writing pretty simple stuff,
Right.
Because you're trying to write something for a country artist, and with that, I mean, we just were writing that for ourselves, and I still play it. I mean, it's one of my favorite songs. I love the changes in it, and it was probably as close to jazz as I can get, So
it's.
I think Kev Moe cut it.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, he cut it with. Spyro Gyra.
Huh.
I think.
Yeah, I used to play Spyro Gyra on the air all the time when I was in radio. Yeah.
Yeah, Kev did a nice job with it. The whole band played it beautifully.
Yeah, that's a great song. I love that song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I could picture you on stage with that tune. Lighting a cigarette, smoke going up in the air with the spotlight on it. Like Sinatra used to do. Yeah.
I think you're going to have to wait a while to see that, though.
More more than Ava Braun. You didn't write that one. I think it was a David Lindley that wrote that track.
No, I wrote that.
You wrote that. Did David Lindley? Really? I didn't know that.
That's an original piece.
Huh.
I wrote that all by myself. I didn't even need help. But, Lindley had a fondness for it, even though he played it somewhat differently than I do. But I loved him for appreciating it. It just he and I had a sense of humor that was comparable.
I can tell.
Yeah.
What is that song? Tell me what the song's about.
Oh, it's a love song, of course.
Oh, my goodness. And of course, we all know who Ava Braun was.
Yes. I mean, she was Adolph's girl.
Right. So what was the story behind this track? What in a nutshell?
It's just a joke. I mean, it's
okay.
From a male point of view, it's someone who's had his comeuppance from the woman he loves, and there's not much he can do about it except grin and bear it, and make some kind of wry comment, and that's my wry comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like how you can you put humor in a lot of these in some of your tracks as well. I like that. I've interviewed many times. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind now. Tom Rush.
Yeah, I've lost mine a long time ago. It's way too late.
Tom Rush does a couple of songs that I love too. The one about the Remember song, I think it's called. Have you heard that from Tom?
I mean, I know Tom, and I'm a great appreciator of him, but to be honest with you, I don't listen to contemporaries very much.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want the influence.
Right. I understand that.
At one point, I was a huge fan of the Rolling Stones about around the time of Beggar's Banquet, and I listened to that record a lot. And then I realized that I was starting to write Rolling Stones songs. It's like, don't do that.
It happens. Yeah.
It's a death. So I at that point, I kind of quit listening to contemporaries, and I listened to jazz and older music and world music and all of that. But I try not to listen to people who kind of do what I do.
You're 100% right about that, because I hear other musicians, bands in people's songs all the time, and they can't help it. It just comes out,
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're impressionable people. I mean, that's kind of what we do. Mm-hmm. And no matter who you listen to, it will rub off on you. So, I mean, if I got a choice, I'd rather it be Miles Davis than the Rolling Stones.
Right. Yeah, it does make sense.
Although his lyrics aren't very good.
Yeah. Well, Tom's song was about, it was funny because it's about when you get older and you start misplacing things, your keys and your phone. And it was a big song for him.
You forget lines in your song.
Yeah.
That's the coldest part of it.
Yeah. Pieces of the Rain was a beautiful track. Love that one.
Again, another Bill Braun piece of music,
Beautiful piece. And the Cowboy, and you came back in Northern California where the palm trees meet the pine.
Well, that's an original. I didn't even need any help with that one.
That was I could see you riding a horse singing that one.
Yeah, right up there around Healdsburg.
Yeah.
Northern California.
Great tune, man. My granddaughter's riding horses now. She's 5. It's unbelievable. Can't believe it.
Well, it hasn't started to cost you that much yet. Just give it a few years.
Well, she got free lessons from her grandma. Not from my side, but from the other side. So that's why she's been riding and getting lessons and stuff. But
well, just have to make sure that Grandma buys the saddles and the horses and gets them shod and
right.
dewormed and all of that. Because even regret it because you're already in it. I used to have horses, and I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, I know. Well, she had one horse. She's had horses most of her life, or the grandma, and it just passed away not that long ago, like last year or so. And she said, "No, I'm not going to get another one." So I think she belongs to a club or something where they supply the horses, which is probably the best thing, kind of like a boat, You just don't buy a boat.
It's a pleasure to be able to, have time with a horse. I wish I could, but it's not possible at this stage of the game.
Yeah, I love horses too. Yeah. Here, this was a surprise to you, I think. Covered Wagon got covered by Miranda Lambert, right?
Yeah, I had no idea that she was even playing the song, and a friend of mine who used to work at the publishing company I was on got in touch with me and said, yeah, she's doing Covered Wagon, and I don't even know where she heard the song, but I'm glad she did. Maybe she heard the Cowsills version of it.
Exactly. I was going to say the Cowsills. Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, I was thrilled that she did, and the album, it was a double album, but it went platinum, so it was successful, so people got to hear it. So
that's great. That's great.
Bonus,
Yeah. And some fun tunes on this album. Let's Go Fishing, which was a fun track, and then Mad Ruth, the Babe. Yeah. You should have known him. Yeah. I was born in Baltimore, so, that's where Babe came from. I went to see where he was born and everything. That was very cool. Very, very cool. Matter of fact, he started out with a minor league team called the Orioles back in the day, before he played with Boston,
And everybody forgets that, because they think of him as the home run king, but he was also an amazing pitcher.
He was a great pitcher. Yeah. Huh.
What an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Come from more than obscurity, as an orphan, and not having anything at all, and becoming arguably the greatest baseball player ever.
And he did it with all those hot dogs he ate.
That's right, hot dogs and beer. That's what the young guys today don't understand. You have to abuse yourself to really play good ball.
Exactly. You don't need steroids, just hot dogs and beer.
That's it.
Finishing the last couple of tracks on this album, the Sidewalk Symphony, which is another beautiful track I loved. And then, of course, the old favorite, Goodtime, Charlie's Got the Blues, the legendary song. How did you come up with that tune? And did you know it was going to be so popular?
I knew shortly after I wrote it that it had potential. I mean, no one ever knows, what a song is going to do, but it was written very, very quickly. Thinking about 1967, 68.
Right.
And I had a contract with a local Seattle company, a guy by the name of Jerry Denon, old dear friend. And I went to play it for him, and he went, "Oh, that's good. Let's cut that." And so we cut a demo of it. And I'm not sure that he said it to some people. I think Glen Campbell had a shot at it, and a guy named Nat Stuckey, I think, was the first guy that cut it. And it was a song I auditioned on the phone to Ahmet Ertegun.
Right.
And he thought it was a hit. So we went to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and tried to cut it there, and we didn't get a version that worked. And a year later, Ahmet sort of passed me on to the great producer and arranger, Arif Mardin, and we went to Memphis and cut it with the Memphis Boys, and that was the hit version.
That song appeals to everybody, which is, it's amazing. I don't care what kind of music you're into, everybody loves that tune.
Yeah, well, what a fortunate thing. I mean, just a pure piece of luck, and a gift from the heavens in some ways, and it's been my dearest friend for 50 years and more.
It's a classic, and recorded by Elvis, Willie Nelson, Charlie Rich, Leon Russell, Jerry Lee Lewis, Earl Klugh, Chet Atkins, Dwight Yoakam, Waylon Jennings, Charlie McCoy, Mel Torme, and many, many more. I mean, that's what a thrill that is.
What a great thing.
Yeah, what a thrill to hear all those people, play your songs. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's the payoff. I mean, not so much a hit for me, but that all those other people that I admire and respect
right.
Found something in the song for them as well. So, pure cake.
Yeah.
All icing.
I got a list here of your favorite covers of your songs and by people that have done them. Let's see if this still holds true. Waylon Jennings doing your Good Time, Charlie Got the Blues. Was that your favorite cover?
Yeah, still is.
Okay.
I love Waylon. He just was a genuine person. I didn't get to know him very well. I mean, I knew him, but he was on the road all the time, and I didn't see him. We weren't in the same kind of places. But I had a great respect for him. He literally did it his way, and he changed country music along with Willie.
He did.
A couple other guys in ways that are still being felt.
Alison Krause's Never Got Off the Ground. Still one
I
of your
just
favorite?
love Alison Krause. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had written a page in the phone book and she wanted to sing that, I'd be just as excited.
And of course, Jackson Brown, The Road. That's a gimme, I guess. Judy Collins, who I've had on the show. Angel Spread Your Wings. Do you like her version?
I love it, and I love her. She was being produced by Arif Mardin at the same time that I was doing Breezy Stories, which is where she heard that song.
Yeah.
And I had loved her music, from that, literally the first time that I heard her sing. So, another great honor.
Her Sending the Clowns, so that's another one that tears me up. I told her that.
Well, I mean, and, someday soon, I mean, a couple songs she did of Ian's were, still are classics.
And Magdelena, Leo Sayer, of course, Donny Hathaway, another favorite of yours, I guess. All right, we're gonna go way back. We're gonna go way back in time now, okay?
Oh, okay.
You know where I'm headed? You know where I'm headed?
No, I don't. But go ahead.
Let's see. There was a band that you played in, psychedelic rock band. Did you pronounce that? Is it Calliope or Calliope? How do you pronounce that?
Calliope.
Okay. It's Greek mythology, right? It means what? Goddess of epic poetry or something like that.
Yes, that's exactly what it means. Good on you.
Yeah. You guys made one album, right?
It also is a corny circus instrument too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You made one album. Okay, it was called Steamed. And did you know that the entire album is on YouTube?
Hey, how do you keep it off?
It's a great album. You guys were good. What happened there? Why did you guys break up? And it was what, 68 or somewhere around there.
Yeah, probably 68. It was a band that I was hired to be a singer in.
Right.
I didn't really like the band. I mean, I liked the guys okay, but I never really felt that the band gelled, into the kind of band that I wanted to play in. And after I heard the record, to be honest with you, I just didn't dig it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left the band and went to Los Angeles to form a band with some other guys that had been in Seattle, in a band called the Daily Flash. And in that process, hanging out in manager Charlie Green's office was where I was able to play a couple songs on the phone to Ahmet Ertegun, and that's how I got the Atlantic deal.
But you guys were lucky though, that Psychedelic band, because you were signed to Buddha Records, weren't you?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's unusual. They liked
it, and they wanted to do another record.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I didn't like the music.
Okay.
And I wasn't crazy about Buddha Records at that point.
Right.
And I'd always wanted to be on Atlantic, because I loved the music that came out of Atlantic Records. And when I got the chance to jump, I jumped as far as I could.
Well, you would have been hanging out with Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix and all those guys with that band, right?
Probably not.
There's a lot of people that like that album, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing. I mean, once a piece of music kind of passes out of its immediate time frame, then it takes on another quality, another life.
Exactly.
People may imagine it as something that it was or it wasn't, but that people still like it, I think is wonderful. I never dug it much.
What else did you do besides sing? Did you play guitar or anything?
No, I was just a singer.
Just a singer, huh? That's interesting.
Well, just the front man and singer, and I mean, we were kind of a funny band. But it didn't really have legs, and I wanted to play with different kinds of players who could stretch out and play a little more authoritatively.
Yeah. They said I even had the members of the band: Clyde Heaton, Daniel Keefe,
Yep.
John Simpson, Paul Goldsmith. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all gone but me.
They're all gone, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's it's kind of neat on your resume, though. I mean,
what is?
I don't know.
I'm still alive and they're not.
No, just the fact that you were in a psychedelic band back in '68. That's.
Well, but the thing is that it gets called a psychedelic band. I don't think we thought it was a psychedelic band. We were just trying to get gigs and make a little money.
Yeah, I heard it. It was psychedelic.
All right.
I liked it. I liked the album. I want to mention.
I haven't heard it for a long time. I bet I probably would, find all kinds of things to appreciate it if I heard it, but I haven't heard it in many, many years.
Yeah, well, listen to it. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. See, somebody probably liked it, and they put it on YouTube. I want to mention, you got a book out, right, called Looking Glass and the Dreamer's Book?
It's a book that goes along with the album, Looking Glass and the Dreamers. It's part of the package. But yes, it is it's a 26-page book, basically, to explain the history that motivated the songs on that album.
Yeah, very cool. It's unraveling the tragic story of is it Nez Perce, or how do you pronounce that? The Native Americans?
Nez Perce.
Nez Perce Native Americans. I've never heard of the Nez Perce.
You should read their history. It's a quite compelling history. They were in the tri-state area of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, in that little area there. And they've been there for probably more than 16,000 years. I mean, they were good people. And they still are great people. I have many Nez Perce friends, and if you ever get to that part of Oregon, the Wallowa Valley is still, where they lived, is still a gorgeous place. One of my favorite places to be. And like most of the other Native Americans, they just were driven out of it by the Army and by farmers and miners that wanted to take their wealth away from them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the culture, the Native American culture, and the different, so many different tribes. It's amazing. It really is. It's a great study. Here in Florida, we've had many tribes, and the old I guess tale here is my area here. I'm in Sarasota, Bradenton area in Florida. When the hurricanes come, it always kind of bypasses us. We never get hit hard, and they say it's because the Native Americans blessed the land around here when they were here, and I believe it, because we never get a direct hit, and from Tampa, Bradenton, and Sarasota, it always goes either south or way up the Gulf Coast, and in all the years, so. But that, if you look at, if you look it up, it's all over the internet about that. We all believe that too. We really do. I met John, the actor John Voight. I had a business in D.C. and he came in the store, and he helped the Native American Indians a lot. He was that was one of his things, and he brought in an ancestor of Geronimo to the store, and it was so cool because the guy looked just like Geronimo. I'll never forget that. It was pretty neat.
I was just reading about Geronimo this morning.
Is that right? Really?
Yep.
Yeah, he's talking to us, I guess. All right, here's
a warning.
Yeah. Here's your final question. And I ask everybody this question. It's going to be interesting for you because you've worked with a lot of people, but you like to do things on your own too, most of the time. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to maybe perform with or maybe collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
God, that's a good question. Oh.
And don't say Paul McCartney, because that's like the number one answer, and I'm tired of hearing it.
No, he's too good for me. Too much better a musician than I am. I don't know. Ray Charles, maybe.
That's a good one. Yeah.
God, I don't know. Bix Beiderbecke, sing a song with a band that Bix Beiderbecke was in. That's a hard question because I never really thought of, who would I want to play with if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Willie,
Yeah.
It's always fun to play with Willie. But yeah, I don't really know.
Have you done much like R&B? Strictly like R&B stuff. Do you like R&B? Is that one of your genres?
Well, R&B is, saying R&B is like saying rock and roll. It's such, it's such a huge box of potential.
Right.
It's just, to me, they're the songs, and the song dictates kind of, the way you perform it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they come out sounding R&B, that's great, but a lot of times it's, who are you playing with? If you're in Atlantic Studios and you're playing with, Bernard Purdie and Donny Hathaway and Gordon Edwards, might have a little R&B feel to it. If you're playing with James Jamerson in Motown, it's going to sound like R&B, but I unfortunately never got to play with James Jamerson.
How about Ray Charles? Have you done anything with Ray or?
No, Ray wasn't. Ray had left Atlantic by the time that I got there,
okay.
Or he wasn't being produced by Wexler or Ahmed. And I think he had left the label.
Yeah.
I would have loved to met Ray Charles. He was, a huge influence in many ways. I opened for him a couple times, but artists like that. Ray would pull up literally 5 minutes before he was to go on.
Right.
And pull up in the limo, and the guy would hand him his patent leather shoes. He'd put them on and walk up on stage and start playing. Mm-hmm. And he'd play for his hour and 10 minutes, whatever his set was. And he'd walk off the stage and get in the limo, and he was gone. Willie is kind of like that too. The bus pulls up, and Willie gets off, and you can set your watch by the time he goes on and the time he goes off.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but they don't hang. They had places to be.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Dickie Betts did that. I covered a. He did a fundraiser here in Mayaka, kind of like on a farm, and you'd see him walk by himself. He looked, all dressed up like a cowboy. He walks right to the stage, does his thing, he walks out, and he's got a trailer. There was a trailer there, but the same thing. He just does his thing, and like clockwork, like you said.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Danny, I want to thank you, man, for being on the show today. It was a great pleasure, you know.
Well, thank you, Ray. It was my pleasure, and it was fun.
You're an incredible artist. You really are, and your songwriting's amazing. Me as an author, I love lyrics, of course, and I know how hard it is to put together lyrics and write, and and know when the product is finished, and not harp on it over.
The trick.
Yeah.
The trick is to know when you're done, and to put the eraser away and let it be. Yeah.
So many people harp on it, and they don't have confidence it's good enough, and that's when you run into some trouble, I think. I'm going to say
you have to trust yourself.
Exactly.
That's sometimes the most difficult thing to do.
Exactly. Well, with all the music you've written, it's obvious that you do trust yourself, because you wouldn't have written so much music. I want to say special thanks.
Doubt. That part never leaves, but you have to know when you have something that works.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say special thanks to Wendy Brinford Jones, Wendy of Hello Wendy PR, for arranging this interview with Danny O'Keefe. Wonderful, wonderful person. You can purchase the new 2-CD release, Circular Turns by Danny O'Keefe. Is it available now, or is it still pre-order?
I think it's pre-order. I'm not sure exactly the release date. I thought it was going to be mid-October, but I think it's now pushed back to November, in time for Christmas sales. So
okay, good.
It'll make a perfect stocking stuffer.
Oh, it's a perfect stocking stuffer. And it'll be available on Amazon. I think it's already showing up there. And you can go to your website, www.dannyokeefe.com, for more information. You're on Facebook. You're on YouTube. I've also listed your discography of all your albums that you've made through the years. And again, it's been wonderful talking to you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ray. It's been my pleasure as well.
All right, man. My best to you, the family, and I hope to see you out there. What about touring? Are you gonna do any dates here?
As they come along, I don't want to go out there for months at a time, but
right.
Whatever dates make sense. I love to play in front of people, and I hope to get some of that.
Okay, well, think about Florida. I know we're on the other coast, but if you're ever out this way, let me know.
I will.
All right, Danny. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Rick. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.